The video includes graphic depictions of war violence, including battle scenes. These images may be upsetting or triggering for some viewers, particularly those who have experienced trauma. Topics of nuclear weapons and their devastating effects are central to the content. The year is 1945. The world is locked in the bloodiest conflict humanity has ever seen, a war stretching from the burning sands of Africa to the frozen heart of Russia and the lush island chains of the Pacific. But amidst the widespread ruin, a terrible weapon looms, poised to alter the course of history forever. The scale of devastation was unprecedented, and the repercussions continue to echo across decades. In August 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Questions still linger in the halls of history. Why was this unfathomable decision made? Was it a brutal necessity or a catastrophic mistake? We'll delve into the heart of this controversial act, seeking answers as we examine those fateful days. To unravel the reasons behind this act, we must first understand the players who held the fate of millions in their hands. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, under immense pressure, initiated the Manhattan Project, sowing the seeds of this destructive endeavor. Emperor Hirohito, revered as a living god by his people, held sway over Japan's militaristic leadership and their unwavering determination to resist at all costs. Then there's Harry S. Truman, the man thrust into leadership following Roosevelt's death. He faced the unimaginable responsibility of either prolonging a brutal war or seizing a horrific alternative to potentially end it. These weren't the only figures shaping this complex story. Military strategists like General Douglas MacArthur pushed for a brutal invasion of Japan, believing it to be the quickest path to victory. Yet men like Secretary of War Henry Stimson urged caution, wary of the vast casualties and long-term consequences an invasion would bring. Then there were the scientists, figures like Robert Oppenheimer, torn between the potential their creation held and the immense destructive force it could unleash. Their breakthrough brought a terrible new kind of power into the world, power that would ultimately rest in the hands of Truman. As the war raged on, the scientists of the Manhattan Project toiled in secrecy. Few truly grasped the apocalyptic scope of the weapon they were creating, a weapon that would change warfare and the world in ways they could scarcely imagine. The decision to employ atomic weapons against Japan remains one of the most scrutinized acts in human history. Historians delve deep into archives, seeking clues that may provide clarity. Why ultimately did the United States drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Let's examine the evidence. Operation Downfall, the planned invasion of mainland Japan, promised carnage surpassing even the horrors of D-Day. Intelligence reports estimated American casualties to likely reach a staggering million, with untold Japanese civilian and military deaths. Additionally, projections suggested the fight could drag on for 2 more years, prolonging a war the world longed to see end. Japan's fanatical resistance fueled Allied fears. Even civilians became weapons, indoctrinated into a culture of self-sacrifice rather than surrender. Even civilians became weapons, indoctrinated into a culture of self-sacrifice rather than surrender. Truman faced a chilling dilemma: sacrifice countless American lives in a protracted ground war, or deploy a weapon with the potential to break Japan's will to fight. Many involved in the Manhattan Project envisioned a demonstration of the bomb's power as a viable alternative. Nobel laureate physicist Leo Szilard authored a petition against the direct use of the bomb, arguing a demonstration might force Japan's hand without inflicting mass casualties. Yet voices like General Leslie Groves, the project's military head, asserted a surprise attack was essential to achieve maximum shock value and guarantee surrender. Geopolitics played a complex role. At the Potsdam Conference just weeks before Hiroshima, a newly emboldened Stalin confirmed the Soviet Union's imminent entry into the war against Japan. American strategists foresaw the risk of a divided Soviet-influenced Japan in the post-war world. A decisive display of American military supremacy through the atomic bomb could act as a deterrent to future Soviet ambitions. To fully understand the why demands an attempt to examine Truman's own mindset. Diary entries hint at his agonizing over the moral weight of his decision, the pressure to end the war swiftly in a world weary of conflict. Yet did the need to avoid a bloodbath outweigh the terrifying precedent set by unleashing nuclear weapons on civilian populations? These threads of evidence, woven amidst countless others, form the complex tapestry of Truman's decision. There is no single easy answer. Historians continue to dissect motivations, analyze political pressures, and debate the morality of employing weapons of mass destruction. The scars of Hiroshima and Nagasaki may have faded across decades, but they remain etched in our collective memory, chilling reminders of humanity's destructive potential. The immediate aftermath was a horror that no grainy photograph or witness testimony can adequately convey. Radiation sickness, the lingering specter of cancer, and a deep-seated mistrust of atomic power were the grim legacies these cities bore. Yet amidst the ashes, a new movement toward peace began. Nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation became global rallying cries. The question posed by Hiroshima and Nagasaki echoed through the corridors of power. Had humanity reached a point where the cost of war had eclipsed any imagined gain? The threat of nuclear annihilation has wavered, but never vanished. Even today, the potential for unthinkable devastation lingers, reminding us that the lessons of the past cannot be forgotten. Perhaps the true meaning of Hiroshima and Nagasaki lies not in a definitive answer, but in the questions they force us to ask of ourselves. What responsibility do we hold as individuals to work towards a more peaceful future? What choices can we make to ensure such weapons are never used again? And perhaps most importantly, can we harness the ingenuity that created the atomic bomb for a greater purpose, to solve the global challenges that threaten humanity? Understanding the why behind Hiroshima and Nagasaki is not just about remembering history, it's about shaping our collective future.